Hello and welcome to Values and Vibes. I'm in such a rush, so I need to tell you that today we're going to talk about patience. Patience as a value, and if you want to learn how to be more patient and to not behave like me, stay with us and watch this episode.
Hello and welcome in my favorite episode that we're gonna talk, because I was so happy to speak about patience, patience as a value, with my two favorite girls, Tia Lancaster and Louisa Bulow. Louisa, you're gonna explain us what's the definition of patience, and then we can continue from there.
Yeah, so our definition of patience is to accept delays, trouble, and or suffering without getting angry or agitated.
Well, I think patience is an interesting one, because I think it's one that I think it's one we're all practicing all the time. And if we're not, then we're probably a pretty miserable person to be around. So I think it's going to evoke some really great conversation from the three of us today when we talk about moments of impatience and when we can practice, when we do practice the best form of patience. So
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you?
It makes me just think of good things come to those who wait. I would say I'm not naturally a very patient person, and the story that I think of is really silly. Yesterday, I love avocado, and I wanted avocado, and it wasn't soft, and I was like, it's all right, I'll try it anyway. So I cut into it, and it just was crap. It didn't. I basically wasted the entire avocado because I then couldn't eat it. And when it's all stuck to the
Yeah, you
tip
can't
in the
even get it
middle.
out.
Oh my gosh. And I just thought, oh no, maybe it'll be okay. Because I struggle with patience, if I'm honest. So it's a silly example of it. But if I had waited a day, 2 days, I would have had a really nice ripe avocado with my toast. But
No, I mean, that's what patience comes down to, the simplest to the most. Like, I think about the most serious things in my life, and I remember being in waiting rooms for 5 years, waiting for like Maria's cancer results to come back, when they would, every 3 months when she'd be going in. And let me tell you, that takes an extreme amount of patience. Like, you can't walk the next 3 days because she needs to be back. Because it's not like you can't make doctors or surgery procedures or anything like that go any faster. So I think that's when life is forced upon us and we have no choice but to be patient. And I think those are the moments that give us the most learning. So then we maybe can become more patient with the silly matters, because we're like, wow, I really had to be patient and wait for like life or death situations here. I can handle being patient about getting my meal because I'm starving today and the waitress is taking so long. So
and that oldest part of our brain is emotional, right? So I know that personality wise, I'm definitely someone who is more emotional than maybe rational. So when emotions take over, my logic just completely goes out the window. And that's the same with a lot of people who naturally are a bit more emotional. So I would say also maybe I'm a little bit more impulsive. So I look for instant gratification. I'm like, I want that to be there. And actually there's a real beauty in waiting. And I was actually telling Tia this story this morning, but when Rich and I were buying our first property, we put an offer into an apartment in London, and we were like, it's perfect, it's exactly what we wanted. And then someone outbid us, and I was just like, we're never living anywhere. Like,
yeah.
I didn't get the first one to put an offer in on, so it's all gone to crap and it's not going to work out. And we now live here, and it's better and it's bigger and it's nicer, and it was just, everything is just perfect. And over time you learn that actually if you wait, a lot of things come out of that. But it's something that instantly, I think, emotionality trumps rationality.
Well, that's so amazing, because that's we're, preparing for this presentation and this offsite. And I think that when we distill the model down to what at its core, our model comes down to that intersection between value prioritization and attainment and your emotional biases. And so, that's where it comes into conflict, right? If you can exercise patience and not automatically be reduced to tears and know, okay, well, this is the news, but something else is going to come along, as we, in real estate, once Milena lives real estate, once you live in that world, it's like anything else. But that's very true. But I just think that's such a great example that you said. I tend to be very emotional. And I think that, and you're not emotional about everything because you
No,
wouldn't be able to day,
to
but
function.
certain things. Yes. So I think, and we're all emotional. I mean, I think that if you're not emotional, you probably aren't experiencing the same sorts of joys either, because you really feel things if you're emotional. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're mentioning real estate, I would just say that time kills the deal. So patience in real estate is not good value. The reason
yeah.
is because we need fast closing. We need something to, like do you like it or you don't like it? Don't waste my time because I need to offer somebody else. But honestly,
True.
when we were talking about that patience is going to be next value, I was honestly probably a couple of days spoke with so many people, and I was noticing that people are so impatient when we are in the line, or like when we're in traffic. I'm telling you, especially now when I'm in Europe, I can see that if it's red light and if it's becoming to be green, you need to be first in line. You cannot wait because so many horns, so many egos are gonna wake up and gonna do like, "Wah!" So whole street is scared if somebody is gonna wait longer when it's like red to
Yeah.
green. Like you need to be fast. You're losing my time. And honestly, I don't know. Honestly, why is the rush? Like they're going home. They're not gonna do it. They're not late to work. And that's
But I can,
happening when you're going home, not when you're going to work.
yeah, I can
Yeah,
resonate
yeah,
with that though.
exactly.
And I think patience must be linked to impulsivity, meaning that the more impulsive one is, naturally, probably the less patient you are, or the less you practice patience naturally as a value, perhaps. Because I'm that person who cannot queue. I just struggle. Or for me, it's not even that I can't queue. Okay, for example, if there's 3 queues to the same thing, I have to be in the one that's the quickest. I don't, it's just in my head. It's like
It's always the wrong guess. I tell Colin that.
and then
I go, why are we going to change lines? Guess what? Something's going to happen in that line. I said, just stay here. Oh, he changes. And then where? I mean, it's,
yeah, that's me. That is me.
that's Colin.
And yeah, and even when I'm driving, I drive like a race car driver. Is it going to get me there any quicker? No. And Rich will always, he's very patient. He's like, it's okay, it will happen. Whereas I'm always running for buses. I just feel like there's this need to get something quickly. And that definitely loses the beauty of actually to accept delays, to accept trouble, to accept suffering without getting angry or agitated. Definitely a value I need to work on.
It's a tough state. I think you learn it more, right? And we've all done it through our pain, through our sufferings, when there isn't, and there can't be an immediate answer. Like
Yeah.
You don't know like what's going to happen. I mean, that all you can do is be patient. Like I always think when it comes to like a lot of things in life, it's always hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? It's like hurry, hurry, but then you're going to wait anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think life is one big test of patience,
And
in
I
a
think
lot of ways.
patient who is patient, he has a superpower. Honestly, he can be present in a moment. He can focus what is going on. He can see details. When you're like in rush, you're missing the details. You can easily, maybe you think that you're slower, but you're faster to solve the problems. So whenever I want to see something, I can see that me and my husband have different approach. He's always like multitasking. He's driving like crazy. He's going from one line to 6 line to, like, I'm Capricorn. I'm always in the line. I know when it's next right. I'm
Yeah.
driving like a grandma. Everybody's safe. Like I'm gonna do,
Yeah.
like my turn. So for me,
You're 4 points.
but for
Yeah.
me, that is a lesson that I need to learn because I think I used to live really fast, urban city and everything, like I need to make money, I need to rush to this job, I need to figure out this and this. But first time, my question now is like, when was the first time that you realize I need to learn to be more patient? Can you remember? Can you call that memory and can you recall that memory and said, oh my God, I remember when this happened? I'm gonna give you my example. happened because everybody's talking about patient, you should be patient when your kid, whatever. But first time when I couldn't answer the guy on the message that he sent me, I learned what is patient. And my mom, she would say, you don't need to answer him immediately. Let him wait. And that was more problem for me than for him, because I'm not, I'm answer now. Like, I need and immediately to, I need something that he's going to tell me. I'm not patient.
Gratification. Yeah.
And then I realized, like, when I was 13, 14 years, that back then was messaging. And then I was like, oh my God, how long I need to be patient? She was like, give him 3-4 hours. I was like, what? I need to,
No.
no. And I think that delaying back then, that I learned that I'm not so, how you say, like, easy approachable, like he can call me whenever he wants.
I mean, there's greater gratification to the delay.
Yes. And then that was the first time that I acknowledged that, oh my God, I have problem with that patient. I was like trying to keep me busy. I was going out, I was putting trash, I was doing flowers, I was doing everything just to show my mom that I'm patient. And she was like, prove me that you're patient. That was really hard for me because I'm in love. I want him now, I want his reply now, because whenever, I don't need chocolate. For me, that was easy. And then she figured out that that's something that I need, like, like emotionally, I need that. Then I realized I'm not so.
It's like a drug.
It was
I can't think like a first one for me. I can think of a daily one. The CEO of our family, Maria, who has somehow like herself somehow not losing her temper or losing her cool or whatever. I think she reminds me of it every day, because if she talks on an emotional topic like business and like clients and what's going on and gives me advice, it tells me what I'm doing wrong, I go from like here to here in like less than a minute, like less than a second. Like, and
wow.
She's like, chill. See, this is where you go crazy. And I was like, and it really want to reach into the phone line and like strangle her, because I'm like, okay, oh, I'm sorry, you're so calm and but whether or not she's calm or not, or whether or not she does the same thing I do, because she does call me out on it. You know what I mean? Like, it does force me to not go. And I think you do that a lot with children and mothers and fathers, that you go from 0 to 100 with your patients, because it's either something that you've asked them to do, that you want them to do, that's important to you, and you lose it. And when you lose it out of impatience, no one listens to you anyway.
Of course. Lisa, you?
Yeah.
No, just thinking of your story, Tia. I also don't have like that exact moment, but what I guess I can say is I feel like I'm good. I'm patient with people, and as a psychologist, and you sit and if you coach someone or you give them a debrief on their value profile, or you have to have the patience to let them speak because it's their time. So in that way, I feel like I can be very patient with people. I really struggle on a daily, if I go to kind of Tia's example, with public transport. I don't know what it is. Like, I really, really get angry and agitated looking at the value card when public transport isn't lining up for me, or if I've missed a bus by 30 seconds, it's like the end of the world. So what I'm learning is, if you're going to be 5 minutes late because a tube comes every 3 minutes, it isn't the end of the world. And I'm normally early anyway. So now I walk, I don't run. And I'm trying very hard to not care. And I actually did it yesterday, Tia, when I was coming to meet you, and got to the tube, and there was just queues and queues, because it turns out there was actually a fire on the Northern line. So the Victoria line was very busy, and it's a big old queue. And I just thought, I'll just have to get in it and go. We went very quickly, got onto the escalator. People were queuing on both sides, which you always walk in. Didn't bother me. It's okay. I'll stand here. And I honestly felt really chilled and relaxed when I got out on the other side. And it was liberating. So it's something.
I wonder too, like when you think about that, like if it might even be a sense of control. Like some of that's the reason it's it's not always patience, but if you can't, like some people who don't like to fly, it's because they're not controlling the plane. So your expectations are at the whim of someone else. And so that could be some of what plays into it for you, is like, you know what I mean? If you're, at least if you're driving, even though you can't control traffic patterns, you can a lot for them. You can leave a half an hour early and like you have a little more control. So there your
Or
patience
go a
becomes,
different way. Yeah.
yeah. But I do think that that was just being very mindful, and that's good that you're practicing a little mindfulness when it comes to it.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I would say as well, at Revaluate 180, we are not patient. We do not accept delays. We don't accept trouble. We fire at each other in a passionate way. So
Yeah.
that's probably something as an organization in our dynamics we could work on, to being completely honest. When you look at values in a group, I can't imagine that any of us have prioritized it as a final 8, because I think it's something or if we have, we need to work on a little bit more. Don't know what you'd say, Tia.
Yeah, maybe. You know what I mean?
Because of emotion, because of passion, like we want this.
Yeah. I mean, but it's like anything else. I agree, but I think that that's why it's the crossroads between unconscious bias and values, because I think that like that emotion is what drives us. And I agree. I think we have to like step back. I mean, I think you have slight annoyances all day with coworkers because you're like, okay, but they're not listening, and then they're not always listening, because that's the problem. I guess like it depends, but yes, I agree. And maybe that's with our team. It's what Maria points out with me is I get like, immediately kind of like, no, it can't be that way. I need to like take a deep breath, okay, well, let's see how this plays out. But then again, I can, patience, you can't do what we do in a startup if you don't have patience.
So true.
Nothing happens fast. But tell me this. So if I know somebody, like if I know somebody who is not patient at all, how he can practice to be more patient? I spoke with a couple of people, and first my husband, he's not patient at all. But I spoke also with a couple of people that I know now because I'm with cousins and everything. I know how they're behaving, Whenever I speak with them, everybody was telling me like, but I'm so pissed off, like I'm hangry. I cannot wait. Where is the food? When it's food, why we're waiting? Where is the waiter? And I'm like, take your time, food is coming, but you can see that they really feel anger. They're really angry. They have problem that they're wasting their time. Like nobody's respecting them. You can see that they feel that. I can see like on the neck, like I can see color on, like red color on their cheeks and everything. They're really mad about that. And then I'm sitting like this, like, when is the time? Then food is gonna come. I accept this.
It's true, but I think it triggers. I think some people are triggered. That's why patience, I think, is something that we probably, all of us, every day, it should be working on it, because we all have our separate patience triggers. Like I can sit in traffic all day. I can wait in a doctor's office all day. Yeah, but then if you're going to confront, it's my blocker, to confront something that I've been really thinking about hard, and I'm not going to be the most patient. So you're right. I think it's triggers. So I guess knowing your triggers, it's kind of like knowing your blind spots. If you know that in these certain situations, you're not activating patience, or maybe start recording those times and you find you're losing your patience. And how do you alleviate that? If you're a person who's hangry, maybe have a snack. If you're going to a really popular restaurant, or put some nuts in your bag, or whatever it might be. I don't know. I think you can come up with like contextual cues, but I think that until you notice, and that's what mindfulness is a lot about, is being present and noticing. When you have that noticing moment, maybe you should record it and say, oh, that's when I lose it. I don't know. And then maybe next time you'll lose it less.
I wonder if it's a bit like, oh, sorry, if this is a bit related to just how the world is these days. A lot of things are easy access, and you can get a lot at a click of a button, and especially living in cities, you can not leave the house and probably get deliveries of food. And even if you were feeling ill, like I had flu a few weeks ago, and I actually ordered like drugs to the house because I just felt so like everything is here, and everything can be here in 15 minutes in London pretty much. So as someone who was born and raised here, has that also created an environment where I haven't had to be as patient? And also in how I've been brought up, I've been very lucky and privileged in a lot of ways. So therefore have I not had to exercise as much patience as perhaps other people, which feels kind of sad saying out loud, you know. Is there a way that I could stop and actually, you know, stop to smell the roses in a way, or what you say? Because I think
Probably, that's true. Maybe. There's a guy that I coached that took through the Evaluate 180 training individually. He was a young guy, and he grew up in Africa, and then moved to a large city in Europe. And he told me that, you know, that his values really changed a lot, because, you know, in his home in Africa, he got home from school, he barely had his shoes on, and it would just be, you know, in the water at the beach doing, you know what I mean, outside, and like if they needed something, this, like, to travel there and get the supplies for whether, you know, it was food or a toothbrush or whatnot, it was a journey and it took a while. And when they moved to this city in Europe, he couldn't believe it. Like, he walked out his door and he said that he wasn't a very student, because he didn't want to be a student in the classroom. He tried to be a student of his life, because he was learning so much. He couldn't believe that he walked by his door and he could grab a toothbrush right away. And just, so I do think it's access in a lot of ways. Maybe people who do live in slower lives, where, you know, things aren't so easily at their fingertips, maybe that does instill a sense of patience, which is probably a feeling of being quite peaceful.
yeah, I was saying, it makes me think of just a sketch of someone who's, you know, patiently waiting to the side or in a queue or for a bus, and they never look agitated, they never look frustrated in my mind, you know, this picture of the person that I have, they look peaceful. I think that's the word that is spot on in what I'm thinking.
But even just watching that Daniel Kahneman video that the three of us watched before we started, didn't he just like basically portray a sense of peace?
Yeah.
His voice was very calm.
Yeah.
He was very, you know, you felt safe, you know, and I bet he was patient.
Do you know what as well, Tia? It makes me go to your comment where you were saying your trigger of, you know, if it's something that I've really thought through, or I really know that's some, when we look at our model, the hawk blocker, which is all about seeing patterns that aren't there or don't exist, blocks patience. And actually you go off on a tangent when we have the hawk blocker of your ideas and drawing these inferences and drawing these conclusions. And when you've got to the conclusion you think you have, that's that. And that's where that blocker comes into play. And actually breaking that down means we aren't as patient, because we've decided, hawk has shown us, like, look, there it is. Yeah. So there's probably an aspect of that in our model.
Maybe I have a little more hawk. I never have chosen that one, but maybe I have a little bit of that. Maybe we all do in some ways, but that's interesting. You're right. And it does block patience. And when you're passionate and you really want to believe in something, I was listening to Colin speak with the finance, a lot of the traders, and they were talking about those traders that they have a good story for everything. They can tell their story of why this trade is going to work. But that's a lot of the hawk, but it never really seems to pan out. They're more the story than anything else. You know what I mean? So they have this perfect vision.
Yeah. You have hawk alongside forest, though, which sit on conflicting side of the zones. If you have hawk, is what I'm saying. So if you had hawk, forest is actually also counterbalancing that by saying, okay, right, you've gone off on this tangent of this idea, but now let's research it. Now let's look at the detail. Yeah. So for you, actually, forest is a much stronger trait. So that's where I would, maybe hawk wasn't one you chose, but it's...
Maybe that's why I don't choose it. But
yeah,
I guess, I don't know. That's what's always so enlightening about these discussions of values, Milena. No, you always bring up.
I think I didn't put I didn't put patient in my 16. I think in my major 16, but I can see. I think I'm patient, honestly, because I can do a lot of, for Ned, for my husband, boring things. I can teach kids, because I was a professor, so I can easily go when somebody doesn't know something, so I can explain 10,000 times. So that also helped me to be more patient. Also, I had one experience when my friends, they went to some party, and I'm never late. I'm always on time. But that day, somehow I lost track of time and everything. And I was late, like probably 7 minutes or something, and I need to wait another bus for like half an hour. And somebody who is never late, that is a really huge problem for me, because I'm feeling like that's not okay. I'm not respecting somebody's
Yeah,
time.
you're letting people down.
Yeah, but they have car accident, so everybody was fine, but they end up like really, really stressful. They have like really, really huge trauma because it was a couple of cars and everything. And then honestly, I realized like maybe I should be more patient. Maybe I should, like think about that I don't need to be on everything that I was thinking that I'm controlling, because sometimes destiny or whoever, God,
Out
whoever,
of control.
it's gonna choose for me, and I just need to be patient. That somebody maybe it looks maybe that I should be angry and like I should be like worried and everything, but maybe you just need to stop and realize that maybe something saved you. Just
Right.
be
Well, so it's not, I mean, I think it's, once again, I think it's where that idea of being present and being mindful. There are things you can control and there are things you can't control, and so
Right.
at that, you were 7 minutes late, now it makes you 45 minutes late. At that point, you can't control it because you didn't know that there were going to be all these delays. And all you can do is apologize and do better the next time, but it's something you're good at. But I do think that, like any other value, it's becoming mindful and aware of
Mhm.
that loss of control or of patience. So
Yes, and
it
also
becomes very
when I
meditative.
go
That's why
when I
people
go
garden and
of course, and whenever we go like to museum and everything, like if you want to see the picture, if you want to admire, or if you want to notice something new, you need to be patient. You need to stand there like at least 10 minutes and see what color he was using, why he was using the color, why it's so many red, why it's so many blue. To think about that, like. But if you're like running around like multitasking about everything, I think you're missing, honestly, I think you're missing a lot.
Yeah.
That's why.
I kind of agree. I mean, it makes me think of Victoria, that she's, the oldest of my children, and that she's a writer. And I think that requires the novels, she has a day job, but to write novels must require the utmost patience. Because first of all, you have this goal, which is thousands and thousands of hours, who knows how many. And you got to get, like, every day you're practicing patience because you're putting words down on a paper to create this entire thing that, and then you just wait, or for the patience of knowing if somebody out there in the universe is going to appreciate these words. And that, you think about writer's block or things like that. I mean, I agree. I think there's certain things in life. I mean, the more we talk, the less patient I think I am. So, I mean, I would consider myself somewhat patient in a lot of ways.
I wouldn't describe you as patient, nor would I describe myself, as I literally started this conversation with, as patient. And that's why I think it shows in our team, because also our other team member that we spend a lot of time with, she's not patient either.
Yeah.
So I think between the three of us, the whole definition to accept delays, we don't like that. To accept trouble, we don't like that. To accept suffering, so because it's getting in the way of us making things happen. So that there is probably a part of us that becomes like, when fish will have too little water and they're all jumping on top, probably what we look like at times.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe.
I do think it's emotion that drives us. It's this passion, it's emotion, and it's a desire to really drive and push things.
So sorry, my
Last question.
if you believe, it wouldn't be like a question. I was thinking like, can you tell what's helping you to be more patient, so we can recommend others who are not impatient to do that more oftenly? Because I think patience is a practice, and you can easily try to practice through the day. It doesn't need to be. I know that it's really hard for somebody who is impatient, but do you have something on your mind that we can recommend people who are impatient, or they see their kids or friends that they would say like, "Hi, maybe you should consider this practice," just to recommend something like that?
Maybe. I mean, once again, back to mindfulness, I think like a lot of people, yoga breathing works for them. You know what I mean? To take those deep yoga breaths. I mean, see, I'm not very patient because these are all things that I don't like. I don't engage in things like that. I mean, I think maybe taking a walk, if you find yourself, you're going to lose your patience, you walk away from a situation. And I think that helps. I mean, I found myself, I had a lot of patience with my kids. I was good that way. But maybe because I was just more mindful that I didn't want to lose my patience with them, I'd say I'd have less patience with one of my sisters because the minute sometimes she opens her mouth, I go like into defense mode and get impatient. So that's on me. So I think maybe you have to come up with a strategy. Is it that walk? Do I need to take deep breaths? Do I need to like spend 20 minutes a day doing yoga? Do I need to, I don't know, do some values exercises? I mean, whatever it might be. Do I need to go for a run? Yeah, I do think there is, but I think it's a contemplation thing for sure.
Yeah, I would say it goes back to as well what Tia was saying about control and what can you really control in that scenario. And a lot of it with patience, I think, and the emotion and frustration that comes from it is when it's that external control and we can't change it, but actually that's it. You can't change it. So learning maybe a little bit of acceptance with it. What's the worst that could happen? What are you going to do about it? Ask yourself these questions of answering, I can only control one thing in this world, and it's myself. So
Right.
ultimately, that would be one thing. I think learning to accept that some things are out of your control.
Well,
Coming from me saying that.
Dad said, people shouldn't
Yeah,
do things.
don't should people. You can't should people. Yeah.
That comes down to a lot of patience.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I think for me, and this is now just coming from a personal angle of I'm an impatient person, as I've said. I look a lot to Rich, my other half, who is patient and he is calm and he looks at the world in a different way to me. And he had to do a speed awareness course, ironically, because he is the patient one, but just the cameras were changed in our area. So it was bad luck. And he said, he came home. Normally people come home, I hate them. He said, do you know how much like quicker or how much time you save if you speed to get somewhere over the limit? 6 seconds. He said, it doesn't matter how fast you will save yourself 6 seconds. That's what I learned on this course. And this is about a month ago. And it's been ringing in my mind a lot because actually, what's the point? It's 6 seconds.
Well, that's when accidents happen. I mean, we see it all over Miami. I mean, it's like crazy. You know what I mean? They're maniacs. So
look to someone, basically. Look to someone who you think is a patient person and learn some things from them.
Yeah, I mean, same. Colin's very patient. He's not patient though about certain things that I'm patient with, which is like driving, lines, but he's very patient in people and in not like having to overspeak and to oversay and
He's calm.
Yeah. So
I'm Colin.
What's helping me? Cooking. Cooking is helping me to be patient, and of course, time with kids. Especially younger, they need to learn how to lace their shoes or whatever,
Yeah, you're right. That's so amazing. I never thought about that. Maybe that's why I like to bake, because I'm very patient. I can cook and bake all day and for 3 days straight. And there's delayed gratification for that because you got to wait to see if people like the things you baked.
Yeah, I completely agree. But thank you for watching us and see you in the next episode.